the biggest difference between a student who don't do any deals or do very little versus the one that does a lot and become very successful, what do you guys think is the biggest difference? Action? One part of it? Following directions, right? It's called being coachable. Meaning, like, we tell them, like, you heard Steve and Susan, it's like, whatever Tim and Macy says, like, boom, we do it. Like, no question, no, oh, well, what if this happens? Or what if, like, no, just do it. Because everything else, they're just speculating, right? You don't know if it's true or not. Like, you don't know how this seller's going to respond when you're making these calls, right? You don't know. So instead of trying to guess what's going to happen, you just get into action. Okay, and then when you're making a mistake, and we help, we give you an advice, take on those advice, right? Until you do your first $1 million, then you don't have to listen to us anymore. After that, you can do whatever you want, all right? But until then, just do what already works. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Right? How many of you are investors in here? Like, you like to reinvent the wheels and stuff, right? Right? Don't do that. And until you make your first $1 million, yeah, you can reinvest. Because there's so many people who have really done what you've done. And not only we have done it ourselves, but we have taught others to do it. So we get to see it from many different angles, right? Many different situations and circumstances. And so whatever you're going through, whatever your situation is, chances are we've already seen it, right? Or I've already experienced it. And so no matter if you are starting out with zero money in marketing, or starting out with $100,000 a month in marketing, right? It's irrelevant. Okay? There are strategies that you can start with where you're at. If you have no money in marketing, you start with the free marketing, right? We gave you all of those leads last night, right? And great, a lot of you guys did your homework, but not all of you did it. But there's every seminar that we've done that we give out those leads, there's deals that students sign up from those leads that they call. So make sure that you take those leads seriously, like you paid a lot of money for them. Okay? So don't treat this as a $500,000 seminar and those leads, cost you $500. Treat this as like a $100,000 seminar. And you paid $100,000 for those leads. Like, work them like that. Because that deal with that lady alone, that deal there, I almost guarantee there's at least $100,000 sitting in that deal. Because this lady has so much flexibility. She can do all cash now, she can do some cash now, some later, she can do all later. There's so many flexibilities. There's a lot of different things you can do with that deal. Okay? There's a lot of money to be made there. So yeah. So make sure you be very coachable in this journey in your business. Okay? And whatever you've learned in the past, whatever that didn't work for you in the past, just put it aside, just give yourself this year. Okay? So for this year, whatever you learn, you're just going to put all aside. I'll deal with it later, a year later. Okay? For now, I'm just going to listen to what the mentors here are teaching. Okay, and do that. Okay. All right, cool. So this next segment, we want to teach you about the $1 million flipping business model. And this is the business model that we use in our own business here. Okay, so we're teaching you, so we're teaching you what we do, and we're also teaching you what we're teaching our students and what they're doing as well. A lot of our students have used this same model and have done well over $100,000 their first year in the business, and they're scaling that up to their first $1 million right now. And so so what we told you this morning is, what we're hoping our students are implementing, so that way you can sort of like foresee that, right? For some of you, $1 million might be over your head at this point, like this year or the next few years. For some of our students, it started that way too. Okay, a lot of people started out, they just want to do, make the same amount what they make in their job so they can quit their job. That's very common, right? And then once you achieve that, then you can easier see what's next for you. So if this is over your head right now, just think, for you, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 3 years from now, but you have a roadmap that you know how to get there when you need to. Okay? All right.
All right. So we're going to go through the structure of how to set up. Well, there's different ways to set up your business. This is going to be actually the way that I had my business set up from when I first started, just running everything as a one-man show, because that's the way most of you are going to start. And eventually, and it's going to go all the way through to how I replaced myself at each step of the way to now being able to completely be removed from the business, and the business, runs on its own. And like I said, it did over 100. We did over 100 wholesale deals last year, over $1 million in wholesale profits, with really being able to spend none of my own time in it. There's time that goes into it, but it's from my team, And so this is how we structure the team. So first of all, it all starts with marketing. I don't care what business you're in. Marketing is the main thing that's gonna fuel any business you're in. It's like that Ferrari that's in the driveway. You can have an ultimate machine, but without fuel, it's not going anywhere. So it all starts with marketing. So you manage your marketing, and that's your fuel. So you're filling your funnel with fuel, and that's your postcards, that's your bandit signs, that's your calling these for sale by owners, or whatever you're doing. That's what that is. So, and then once you got your leads coming in, you are going to be the acquisition person. So that includes screening the sellers, like what y'all did by talking to the sellers last night, calling the for sale by owners, and screening them to see if it's worth calling them back. So like when Will called them back right now, you screened them, and then Will followed up and did the heavy lifting right there. But so this acquisition person is going to screen the sellers, input the data into a lead management software. That's what we use, a lead management software, CRM, to manage all of our leads. It could be, you could have your own system. It could be just printing out the lead sheets, putting it into files, whatever it is, however you manage your leads. We just happen to use the software, and I've been using the software. Analyzing the deal. That's checking the numbers to see if it's even worth, how much time it's worth spending on it. You saw Will, he eliminated that call within 10 seconds because he analyzed it. He saw that person wasn't even willing to go down, to where they needed it to be to make it a deal. So it's not really a deal, so don't waste your time on it. You can put it in a file to follow up, but you're not going to spend a lot of time on that deal. So analyzing the deal, negotiating with the seller, again, like Will did with the lady, getting her to find out, is she a cash seller, all cash, or is she willing to take terms? Where is she at? What's her motivation? So that's negotiating with the seller to find out, what you're going to be able to do with this deal. Follow-up calls. Most of our deals come from follow-ups. 70% of our deals actually come from follow-ups. Now it may be following up 3 or 4 days later, or a week later, or sometimes it's months. We've gotten deals that we have followed up with the sellers for months, like 7 months, 9 months, and then got the deal like way down the road. So just because somebody doesn't give you the deal right then, or you don't get a contract on it, doesn't mean that it's not a deal or it won't turn into a deal later. You have to follow up with them. Their motivation may not be the same today as it is 6 months down the road, or 7 months down the road, or even 30 days down the road. Contracting the deal. That's where you're just like we talked yesterday about getting the contract on the property. That's where you actually control it. So getting the contract on the deal and then opening title, taking it over to the title company or getting it over to the title company so they can begin to open title and you begin the process of finding out if there's any liens, any encumbrances, any clouds on the title, anything like that. So that's your position as the acquisition person. So you got your leads, you got your acquisitions, sales. Now you're going to be doing the sales at first. You're going to be doing acquisitions and sales. When you're selling the deal, this consists of marketing your deal for sale. Like yesterday, we talked about putting bandit signs without the address of the property on there. So putting out your bandit signs, even newspaper ads. I did a lot of newspaper ads in the beginning, even if I'd already sold the deal, just to get people calling about it so I can build my buyers list. So signs, newspaper, e-blast. If you're starting to build an email list, you want to make sure you blast this out to your email list, get them calling you. All the different ways to market for your buyers. You're just getting the word out. The more people that know that you got a deal, the more buyers, the cash buyers that you're contacting, letting you know you have a deal. Going to the networking meetings we were talking about. All that stuff is letting all these buyers know that you have a deal. And you're beginning to make a name for yourself. So the more deals you show them, the more you're getting a reputation of being somebody who has deals. Once you find the buyer and you start negotiating with them, like I said, like with Tim yesterday when I was saying I got the deal from Daniel who was sitting up here earlier yesterday, and I got a deal from him, and then I go to Tim, and if I tell him, look, I want 70,000, he's like, the best he can do is 68, and I was gonna make 10, and then we negotiate back and forth, and we agree to a price. That's negotiating with your buyer, But cash buyers, they're investors, they're looking to get the best deal they can on the deal. Just like when we negotiate with a seller to get down as low as we can, they're gonna do the same thing to you. You have to know your numbers, that way you can protect yourself. Because there's cash buyers I know all the time that call us and make just ridiculously low offers. Well, we know we have a good price on the property, and we may even already have a buyer for it or something like that, but another cash buyer will call and like, oh, I'll give you 50,000 when we're asking 65, and we already sold it, but they're just offering really low. So you just got to know that cash buyers are going to do that. They're going to offer low, which is some of the reasons I didn't like dealing with a lot of cash buyers. So, but it's true, they're going to negotiate with you. You have to come to a price with them, and then you fill out the assignment contract, because this is where you get paid. This is your money-making piece of paper, the assignment contract. So you get the assignment all filled out, and then you collect the earnest money. Like we talked yesterday, we like to make the earnest money to us and not to the title company. That way, if we have to refund it, we will refund it, and it's not on the title company to have to release it to us or the buyers or whatever's going on.
What if they refuse to make it to you, that they feel more comfortable making it out to the title company?
Very rarely do we let that happen. Usually it's if it's a buyer that really doesn't know us. But most of the time, they know us now. So we really don't deal with that a lot. We tell them, look, if you want to buy the deal from us, you got to make the earnest money to us, or we're just going to go to our backup buyer. So as you build a reputation, that will not exist as much.
Yeah, well,
The question is, how do we get them to take no earnest money down on our original purchase contract? With us, it's usually not even an issue. Like, we just don't even offer it. When we make our offer, it's like, hey, we'll pay X amount for the property. We're going to close in this many days. It's not even on our contract for a place for earnest money or a deposit or anything like that. So very rarely will somebody come back, and it's usually a realtor or they're related to a realtor or something like that, and they'll come back and say, hey, what about earnest money? And we'll say, we usually close so fast that we don't put earnest money because we're closing on 10 plus properties a month. So we're not going to put earnest money out because then we have a lot of earnest money out all over the place and these private funds that close. So you're going to get your cash fast, and that's how we get around it. Usually it's not even an issue.
yeah, they don't even bring that up actually. Let's hold all the questions to the end because we have a lot to cover.
Okay, so get the assignment contract filled out, collect the earnest money, and then you're going to also be the closing coordinator at this point. So getting the assignment contract over to the title company and working closely with the title company. You want to have a good relationship with your title company because they're the ones that are, are gonna be handling a lot of the deal once you turn everything into them. They're gonna be getting, finding out what kind of liens are on the title that you can maybe work and help them get cleared up, or affidavits of heirship. A lot of times, we actually have a closing coordinator. That's her job, is making sure everything gets done so we can close faster, and she helps the title company. So if she has to drive somewhere, she's also a notary, she can go and get an affidavit signed and notarize it, or whatever needs to be done. She takes care of a lot of the little things that the title company might slow them down. She's just there to kind of make that go a little bit smoother. So in this case, you are the closing coordinator. You're doing everything. You are the business. So work closely with them to get all that done, and then getting the check. That's the best part. You get to collect the check, and then that's how the business works when you're a one-man show. Now, the second step here is when you add a virtual receptionist. So marketing, you're still managing your marketing, making sure your funnel's full, getting your fuel going to your business. Now, this is the first piece that I added to my business because I got so busy with calls and I was like, dealing with sellers, dealing with everything, and I really didn't like a lot of negative calls, so I was like, okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is put a live person to answer the phone, but it was a virtual receptionist. So I hired, or I put in place a virtual receptionist that has a live person to answer the phone 24 hours a day. I give them a script, they get all the questions filled out, so they receive the call, they have the questionnaire that I give them to fill out with all the questions, similar to the one that y'all have, that y'all ask questions on. So they fill out the questionnaire, they email the questionnaire to me. At this point, it was just me and the virtual receptionist. So it's men and women, they rotate. It's like a call center is what it really is. So so they take all the calls, they email you the questionnaire, and then it's back to you being the acquisition person. You're still screening the sellers, inputting the data into the software, analyzing the deal, negotiating with the sellers, following up, and all that good stuff. You're also still doing your sales, getting your bandit signs out there, finding your buyers, negotiating with them, and collecting the earnest money. And you're still closing, you're still coordinating the closing, working with the title company and everything. So that's the first piece that I put in place when it was from just being me to just me and a virtual receptionist. The next piece is I'm still doing the marketing, got the virtual receptionist doing all that, receiving the calls, and the next piece was the virtual assistant. Now, virtual assistants, like Tim said, he was the person that put them on the map like 10 years ago. It was over 10 years ago now, huh? So it was a long time ago, but the virtual assistants are very helpful. The one that I started with was in the Philippines. The ones I still use are in the Philippines. And you would think that somebody that works for $4 or $5 an hour, or $3 to $5 an hour, depending on what task you're having them do, maybe subpar or something. These people are really, really smart, and some of them have college degrees. Like doctors in the Philippines would make like $900 a month or something, $1,000 a month, 900,000 bucks a month for a doctor. Surgeons and doctors. That's. So for them,
MBA, like someone with a master's degree makes like $650 a month.
Yeah, and they're happy with that. I mean, because the cost of living over there is different than it is here, so that's good money for them. So these people are not subpar because they take less money. So the first thing I was able to do was hire the virtual receptionist and then the virtual assistant, who was relatively inexpensive, like $400 or $500 a month. And that person was screening the sellers. They were inputting the data into the lead management software. They were following up with the follow-up calls and everything like that. And it was very inexpensive for me, so it was cost effective. And then that left me to do the acquisitions. So now I removed myself from the grunt work, the answering the phone calls and the inputting data and stuff like that. So now I'm down to I'm doing the money-making skill positions here, which is acquisitions. Going, analyzing the deal, negotiating with the seller, meeting them at the property if I have to, getting the deal under contract, and then opening the title. And then selling. That's another money-making position. So I was able to do the sales. So I did acquisitions and sales, got rid of all the little stuff that I didn't need to be spending my time with. So now I'm marketing the deal for sale, negotiating with the buyers, getting the assignment contract, and collecting the earnest money. And then still at this point, closing coordinator, which is just making sure the title is clear and everything, or working with the title company to make sure everything's clear and getting the check. So this is with the virtual receptionist, virtual assistant, and an acquisition buyer. So I'm still managing the leads here, making sure everything is coming into my funnel, the fuel. Got the virtual receptionist receiving the calls and filling out the questionnaire. The virtual assistant is still doing all like the screening the sellers, everything. Now my acquisition buyer. This is going to be one of the key positions that you're going to fill when you're trying to outsource everything in your business and you're putting a team together. So the acquisition buyer, I worked with them really closely to learn exactly how I did everything. I want this person to be a duplicate of me. So they would go with me on calls, they would go with me on visitations to houses and talk to the sellers and see how I negotiated, see how I built rapport, like everything we talked about yesterday, that person was with me to see how I did it in person and how I did it on the phone. Some of y'all know George. George's been with me since he was like 19 years old. He's 26 now. But he started, or maybe 18, but I've known him since he was 13. So, but he's been around me, so he says, like, I'll see him on the phone sometimes now, and he says things that I say that I didn't even remember I was saying. He learned by watching me, bless you. He just learned by watching me so much that he duplicates exactly some of the things I say, and even in the tones that I say it. So you want this person to be a duplicate of you, so that's why you want to do everything first so you know what you're doing, and then you can have somebody, copy you. So they analyze the deal now, they're negotiating with the seller, they're contracting the deal, and they're opening title. And this left me to be able to do the sales where, I eliminated myself from having to deal with the sellers. Now I'm just dealing with the biggest money-making thing, which is selling the deal to the cash buyers. So I'm the one that's marketing the deal for sale with my bandit signs or blasting out to my email list and going and meeting the cash buyers at the property, negotiating with them, doing the assignment contract and collecting the earnest money. And still closing coordinator. I'm still dealing with the title company, making sure that everything goes clearly and we get a check. So this is the next step. So still marketing, got the virtual receptionist, virtual assistant, acquisition buyer, and now we have a salesperson. So now the acquisition buyer is getting the deal, turning it over to the sales manager, which if y'all know here at Prosperity and Cityscape, it's Amilda. So she is gonna, like in this position, she's the one that markets the deal for sale. So she's the one that blasts out to the email list. She's the one that goes and puts signs out. Even if we're selling the deal, even if we have a buyer, she'll go put out signs around there just so we get more buyers calling. So we build more of the buyers list, putting ads on the internet, just all around marketing the deal for sale. So she's the one that negotiates with the buyers, and she's not a pushover. So you got at first she was really shy. She's a lot better at it now. You got to teach this person to not be intimidated by some of these cash buyers. Like I said, they're always looking for a deal, and they'll try to run you over if they can. So dealing with the buyers, negotiating with them, getting the assignment contract, and collecting the earnest money. So that's what she does. Once she does all that, she gets the assignment contract over to you at this point. So now you're the closing coordinator. That's all you're doing. You're taking the contract from the salesperson or from the acquisition person and the salesperson, getting it over to the title company, and then making sure everything goes clearly. So now you see, like, one step at a time, you're being removed from the business. And so this is the last piece right here. So now, and you don't have to manage your marketing. I just believe in you should always manage your marketing, because that you manage your marketing, your money, and your team. So you're just more of a manager. And that's not as hands-on as all these other pieces. So having the marketing going, your virtual receptionist in place, your virtual assistant in place. Now you got your acquisition buyer out there cranking out deals for you. You got your sales team or person, knowing what they're doing and getting everything done the right way and negotiating with people. And they're gonna turn it over to now a closing coordinator. We actually have a closing coordinator that we add $250 on to the closing cost of every deal. And it's in our purchase contract and it's in our assignment contract. So she gets paid $250 on every closing. So that's how she makes her money. So she gets paid at closing, so she has all the incentive to make sure that deal gets done. So, you see what happened here? Like now, where am I at? Anywhere,
On the beach.
Yeah, riding go-karts. So, yeah, me and Tim go ride go-karts all the time. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so now I've completely removed myself from the day-to-day operations of the business. The only thing I'm doing is managing my team, managing my money, and my marketing. That's all I have to do. So it's very, this is the goal that everybody's trying to get to, but this doesn't happen overnight. You have to go through all those other stages to be able to get to this point and have everybody in the right place and make sure that the right person is in the right place.
Yeah, and you know, it depends a lot on you and what your resources are and stuff. For me, I hired my very first person on my second deal. Like after my first deal, I made really good money on it. Yeah, my first deal, I got in the contract for $55,000. I put in about $18,000 in repairs. Went to 3 months of like, hard work. Right, my wife and I were literally out there fixing the house. We went through 3 sets of contractors. At the end, at the end we had to do like, I had to recruit a whole team, my friends and everything, to do the last minute touch-up stuff. So by the time I was done with this deal, remember I got laid off, so I didn't have any money. So by the time I was done with this deal, I was like so desperate, to sell this house. And so what the strategy that I used to sell that house was an auction strategy. And George is going to teach you guys that about that tomorrow. But yeah, so I got the house sold. Long story short, I ended up making over $50,000 on that deal. And so I know, like, went through all those months of door knocking and talking to foreclosures. I know I didn't want to deal with sellers anymore. So that was the first thing that I actually took myself out of, was talking to sellers. So I hired my first acquisition person right after that deal. So I mean, your management style, your resources, how much, it has a lot to do with that. So how fast you get yourself out of this equation is up to you. However, the faster the better, and still have your business running, of course.
Okay. There's different theories to it. The way that I set it up and the way we have it set up now is the virtual receptionist is obviously paid monthly. It's a call center. Virtual assistants like $500-600 a month. Acquisition people, we pay 20% of the profit. Sales team or salesperson, we pay 10% of the profit. And the closing coordinator, like I said, we add $250 on each closing.
Yeah, and that's net profit off of the wholesale deal. If you're doing rehabbing, it's different. Remember, we teach you guys yesterday that if we take any of these down to rehab, we have our wholesale team sell it to our rehabbing team, right, to us. So they still get the wholesale fee and then money like that. So they don't make money off of the rehab, off of the acquisition on the side. But yeah, you can do all salary. You can do some salary, some commission, or 100% commission. So
and I've seen it done both ways. I personally just like the commission because everybody's paycheck is dependent on getting the deals done and everything running and working.
Yeah.
So that's just the way I prefer it.
All right. So now that you know the business structure of it. Because that's the structure that supports this whole goal that you guys are achieving. How many of you guys have this goal to do $1 million in a year? Wow, majority. Good for you. That was really awesome. The last seminar we did, I don't think we had this many people raise their hands for that. Right? Look, making $1 million. I mean, it is. A substantial amount of money, right? But it's really not about the money. It's about, what are you going to do with that money, right? If right now you haven't, you haven't able to conceive making $1 million, then think bigger. Like what are some of the things that are important to you? You don't have to spend $1 million, right? You can, even you can choose to give it away. Right? You can do many things with it. You can do
How many
many
want to make
things
$1 million this year and just give it away? Oh,
Yeah.
and all.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I recently learned, so I've been studying a lot about what it takes to be a billionaire. Because one of my goals that I had when I became successful in real estate investing, I set a goal to give away $1 billion by the time I retire at 65. And when I first set that goal, it was like so far-fetched. I mean, it was like so out, so ridiculous. I had no clue how I'm going to achieve it. However, I like the goal because it looks good on my vision board. So I just kept it with me. And then, and then recently, a couple of things that happened that just like totally, shattered. Because when I think about being a billionaire and be able to have that kind of money to give away, like man, look at all the time and the headaches. Like years of sacrifice to be able to achieve that level. And then recently, Facebook bought over WhatsApp, which is a 3-year company for $19 billion. $1 billion, and it just shattered like all my beliefs about what it takes to be a billionaire just shattered, right? And so I went from that's a nice goal to have to wow, I can really achieve that. Right? I can really do that. Into I'm committed to do. Right? So like my mind, yeah. So since then, like the way I look about my business, the way I look at life is just so different. And recently I learned about this billionaire who owns a lot of the vending machines in airports, and he gives away 99% of his. Like if he had kept all this money, he would be well worth over $5 billion right now. But he gave 99% of it away. Like just throughout his life, right? And then of course, I don't know if you ever heard of the Warren Buffett and Bill Gates pledge, where they have all these billionaires pledge to give away at least 50% of their net worth while they're still alive, right? So I'm like, man, that's cool. I want to be on that list, And so I mean, $1 million doesn't have to be that it's all for you. Like, because a lot of us, we really don't need $1 million to live very comfortably. To have the life that we want. So we can play a bigger game. We can make a much bigger impact in the world, right? Like my wife and I, the game that we play is no children, like every children has a family, and every family has a home. That means that no orphans exist, and no homelessness exists. Like that's the game that my wife and I play for our lifetime. So you can take on playing a bigger game than whatever game you're playing. It really is. Life is just a game. You can do it any way you want to do it, right? So have fun with that. Okay? Whatever's important to you, go for that. Okay. So, all right. So the goal we want to take you on is $1 million. Like I said, this is based on what we're teaching. Some of our students now who have already done over $100,000 in the real estate business, and now we're taking them to the next level. Okay. So, just to break down the model for you, so you can have an idea. What does it take to do, $1 million bucks? So if you look at like wholesaling at $9,000 per deal, that's about 9 deals a month. That's what it takes for you to do $1 million growth. If you look at hoteling at $18,000 a deal, you're looking at 5 deals a month. Okay. If you're doing rehabbing at $27,000 a deal, you're looking at about 3 deals a month. Okay? And of course, if you combine these things, right, then you do less deals, just make more money. If you're looking to do landlording and just looking to capture at least $20,000 in equity plus monthly, okay. If you were buying a rental properties, one house, will average about $200 a month per house. If you're doing into multifamily, it's about $100 a door, right? So that gives you an idea as you plan on your cash flow. if you do owner financing type of deals where you buy and you sell out owner financing, you're looking to capture at least $20,000 in equity, same thing, about $5,000, 5 deals a month. So you can use any one of these to achieve your $1 million goal. Okay, and the way the model flow is that up here is the most active form of income, and down here is a lot more passive form of income, right? When you own the financing, you don't need to worry about tenants and toilets. The whoever you sell it to, the buyers you sell it to, they do all of that stuff. So your income becomes a lot more passive because you're just earning interest. Okay, you're working like a bank. Okay, so we teach you all forms of income, from active to rehabbing is what I call capital build-up income, where you make big chunks of money, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 at a time, to be able to then use that money to put down or pay off one of other properties you can own it free and clear. Okay. Can you hold it? All right. So here's a simple, $1 million plan for you. Okay. So I'm just gonna, for simplicity, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna do a combination of wholesale, hotel, and rehab. Okay. So you're looking at, about, and it's not exact, right? But it's about 7 deals a month with wholesaling and hoteling, and then 1 deal a month for rehabbing will make you $1 million and a little bit over $1 million, $1 million and 80,000. Okay. So you can see, it doesn't take a lot of deals to make this happen. Okay. It just takes a consistent amount of deals to make this happen. The key here is consistent. Okay. And of course, are you going to start out, doing these many deals in 1 month? No, right? But you start somewhere. So here's how it breaks it down to per quarter. Okay. So quarter 1, your job is to make $72,000. That's it. Quarter 1. You have 3 months to do it. Okay. And remember yesterday, I shared that that's about 1.5 offers per day, right? Or if you do 2 offers a day, that's kind of round it up, okay? Quarter 2, 162,000. Quarter 3 is 324,000. Quarter 5 is 522,000. So your goal is to double your income every quarter, about double your income every quarter. Now, if you have a smaller goal, of course you just, let's say if your goal is to make $100,000 this year, then you take whatever I said and you deduct it by 10 times, right, to get you down to the 100,000, right? Or if your goal is 500,000, you take what I'm telling you and just cut it in half. Fair enough? Don't get stuck on these numbers. Right? If your goal is 10 million, of course multiply this number by 10. Right? This is just a base number for you guys to work with. Okay. So basically, that's about 8 deals a month. On average here in Houston, it takes about $1,500 in marketing to get 1 deal. Now I understand there are free marketings out there as well, right? So that doesn't cost you any money, like the leads we gave you guys yesterday, right? And if Dan buys that deal, that 4-package deal, it didn't cost him any money in marketing. So I understand that. And to do the business consistently, depending on free leads itself, is not sufficient. So you have to do both, the free leads and the paid marketing. So some paid marketing, it might cost you $2,000 to get a deal. Okay? Or maybe even $3,000 to get a deal. But it all averages out. At the end of the year, when you average them all up, it's about $1,500 a month. $1,500 per deal. So at $1,500 a deal, 8 deals, you're looking at spending about $12,000 a month in marketing. Okay? Which is about $144,000 a year. And here's how the marketing doesn't seem so big. It's about 14% of your income. Okay, 13 point something percent, we'll just round it up to 14% of your income. What that means is that every time that you do a deal, you set aside from the profit that you make 14% of that money to reinvest in your marketing. So don't go and spend it on shopping, right? Or don't take it down to Lake Charles, right? My recommendation for you is to budget out 20%. Okay? So if you make $10,000 on a deal, how much gonna go reinvest into marketing? $2,000. Exactly. Okay? This is a huge difference between a wholesaler or investor that sustain in this business, that last in this business, versus the ones that don't. The ones that don't, they spend all the money. They don't have any money to reinvest. And then they wonder why they don't have, their deals are not consistent. Okay, so you gotta reinvest your money. So you're not gonna start out with $12,000 in marketing. Maybe you start out with $2,000 in marketing, or $1,000, or $500. Start out somewhere, and then as soon as you make that money, you set out 20%, reinvest, and then you grow it from there. Okay? Other than the door knocking, which I got the leads from the pre-foreclosure leads, but as far as my pay marketing, I started out with 200 vended signs. That's what kicked off my whole business. 200 vended signs. Okay. All right, so for offline marketing, so you have $12,000 a month to spend. You're going to spend about $6,000 of that in direct mail, or in offline marketing, and a lot of it in direct mail. That's about 18,000 postcards a month that you'll be sending. There's many different lists that you can send to, but here are the top 3 that we recommend. The absentee owner list is the people, the homeowners who don't live in the house anymore, right? The tax delinquent list, these are people who are behind on their property taxes. Okay. The probate list, AC taught you guys that's there already. The pre-foreclosure list is also coming back now, so I would add that pre-foreclosure and tax delinquent in together. It went away for a while because there was not enough equity of these homeowners that went to foreclosure. But with the price of the homes going up now, the amount that they owed versus the value is now, there's a bigger spread now, so there's more equity now. So pre-foreclosure is another, I would think, another great list to set to. Okay. And then you spend the other $6,000 a month into online marketing. You can spend the whole thing in direct mail as well. You don't, or the whole thing in online marketing. However, we do recommend that you diversify your lead source more. Okay, so that way, if for some reason, one lead source is not pulling for that month, then you have other lead sources that are pulling that are doing it. Okay. All right, so you have another $6,000 for other online ads such as Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Bing, pay-per-click. If you're not familiar with what that is, I guess let me ask. Like, how many of you guys do you know what the ads are on? Or let me ask. You don't know about these ads when you're browsing the internet. All right, just a few. How it works? Well, yeah.
I see them.
Yeah. To set up the account is all free, so you should try this even if you're not going to run a campaign. Just setting up your account to be able to set up your account as an advertiser to be able to do it. So when you're browsing, typically the ads like on Google or on Yahoo or on Bing is typically the first 3 ads on top and then the ones on the side, and they'll say ads on it, right? Facebook is typically on the right side, right? So Google is called Google AdWords. So just go on Google and search on Google AdWords and how to sign up for an account. And you can just go through that process, pretending like you are gonna post an ad. Maybe put $5 to test to see what it's like. Okay, run an ad with a $5 ad spend. And you can do the same thing with Facebook too, just to learn that process. Okay, I used to do all this myself and manage it myself. I don't do that anymore. And we have someone that we hired. Yeah, he's not even here in Houston. There's many companies that do this, that runs all of this stuff.